Okay, folks, this is it. This is my last, well, it's not technically a review, but this is my last Stones album I'm going to be talking about here. I'll also be talking about the that Stray Cats CD that came from the Rolling Stones mono box set. So this video here, I don't want anyone to be confused about this album being a full-on review. I'm just gonna kind of talk about the way the songs are, and just kind of my opinion about the Rolling Stones' Blue and Lonesome. That's what I'm gonna be talking about here. Okay, we're talking 6 years when this album came out, or almost. I mean, in a couple months, pretty soon. This came out December, I think 2016 when this came out. And sorry, I had to move the camera. And this album in particular came out December the 2nd of 2016. This was a pretty quick album for the Stones to record at the time, because it was recorded the previous December of 2015. And by the way, Don was still in the picture. I kind of thought at first that he had left the band, but he was still producing with the band, and of course the Glimmer Twins as well. This was a number 4 album, and the UK went number 1. There was, however, a single. I think it was like a Little Walter single that came out, or a Buddy Johnson song that they did off of the album, I believe. So Blue and Lonesome, what do I think about this album? First of all, the title Blue and Lonesome came from a 1949 song that Little Walter did, and that's how they based off the album. Now, what do I think critically of the album, or at least the sound quality of the album? I definitely gotta say, it's high quality. You're gonna get what you're gonna get with the Stones, that they have that raw, powered feel, like they've always clinged to. And I think these are pretty good, decent, even up quality or even higher standard blues covers. Like I mentioned, Little Walter, Buddy Johnson, Willie Dixon. They cover pretty much all the, and they got Eric Clapton on here, or at least a couple of the tracks they have Eric Clapton playing, and plus Jim Keltner. We all know Jim Keltner. And apparently this was kind of the last recorded Stones album to feature Charlie, and of course, sad to know about Charlie's death about a year ago. Can you believe that? Or already a year ago. It's just crazy. But I think these songs are pretty good. But I think to the point where I get a little bit sick of it. It's about 43 minutes of just kind of the samey, you know what I mean? Where the production sounds a little bit kind of just by the numbers, you know what I mean? I think definitely Mick Jagger, I think he definitely clinged, at least with his vocals otherwise, definitely clinged to that Bigger Bang. Because really, to think it mildly, Bigger Bang, between Bigger Bang and Blue and Lonesome, that was almost 11-year gap that they didn't have any studio albums released. But I think, in my opinion, I think it kind of goes, I think they're kind of stepping a little bit back. You know what I mean? Because it seems kind of weird for the Stones to kind of do an all covers album, you see, and, the Stones are better than that. I think they could have made maybe a double album or something, or something where they definitely can be a little bit more different, but, but yeah, you could definitely see the Bigger Bang was sort of a sign, but who knew about 11 years later, people would be getting a Stones album. Now, this was the first off of Polydor Records, by the way. And I think the album cover is pretty cool. It's bringing back the logo, the tongue logo. And some of the songs are pretty good, like I mentioned already. But I don't really think this is an album I listen to, I don't really listen to this album constantly, or have it like on my, top, album playlist or whatever on Spotify, I just listen to the album and, that's that, yeah, or Mick Jagger still has that raw delivery kind of like off of the other album, I mean, do I think this album is bad? No, I don't think this album is bad at all. I think this is pretty pretty damn, I definitely gotta say, it's pretty substantial for a band like this, you know, to kind of step back a little bit and kind of do all covers. But I don't really think they're not going back to the roots. I think that's part of the I think some people kind of think like, oh, you know, since they're doing an all covers thing, oh, they're harkening back to their bluesy, you know, covers, you know, the early albums that they had, you know, like, you know, the England Hitmakers and 12 by 5. So people are thinking like, oh, they're trying to cling back to that period, their early period. But I don't really think that. You know what I mean? I think they already. I feel like they already have professionalized. They have already been professionals at this point here. They seem pretty damn professional here at this point, and they already know how to do those kind of things. Yeah, they know how to really make blues. You know, but I don't think this album in particular. I don't really. You know, I don't listen to it as often, you know, whatever. I mean, I was just listening to it about a couple days ago. You know, I was cleaning out, you know, my parents' closet because, you know, it's been, what was it, like July or whatever. There was a leak in that closet. So they had to, you know, re-put down carpeting and they had to repaint, you know, whatever, the whole schmeal. And so I was in there and I was listening to almost all the tracks. There are about like 14 tracks, or I believe 12, or I think there is 12 tracks on this. But no, I don't think that this isn't really you know, something I like either. But that's probably the only downfall is that this is not an album where I'm gonna be like, oh, this is such a great. No, of course not. You know, and the same I can probably say for Bigger Bang. You know, so but you know what, folks, I'm definitely looking forward. That's about all I can say about Blue and Lonesome, by the way. Um, and it's so funny, at that time when that album was released, just a month earlier, in November 2016, I turned 20 years old, and I was still living in Myrtle Beach at the time. And it was just the year before we had moved, 2017. We had moved into Florida here, June of 2017. And it's funny how I did not know about this album. I even asked my brother about it. He didn't know about it either. Maybe there wasn't so much promotion, you know. I mean, maybe there was, but I wasn't probably aware at the time, you know, because I was listening to my own music. I think at that time I was really listening to, I was kind of more towards listening to a lot of the Beatles and the Monkees. I was really getting into, really getting to the albums, you know, and not so much current stuff, you know, because current stuff, forget it, you know. You'll hear, what's that? Ariana Grande and Adele, you know, those people, those folks, you know. So I wasn't really focused on what was coming out or what was, you know, what was in the market or in the stores at the time, the newest album. So I had no idea about Blue and Lonesome, to be honest, until maybe a year ago. But anyways, folks, I cannot wait until I get to my ranking of the Rolling Stones. Definitely, I'll be covering that for sure. And also another thing I want to do too as well. As you can tell with Bob Dylan, I feel like I don't get a much. I feel like I don't grasp onto him as much, and I would really like to do not continuing with his albums, because the only thing that's the reason why I haven't reviewed obviously the albums after Nashville, is I don't have the red box set. Now, if I had that box set, I would continue on with Dylan, of course, you know, because I think he's one of my favorite artists. Not like, you know, like he's up there, but you know what I mean. But I would love to cover his bootleg series. I would definitely love to cover, because I have one of the bootlegs, and it's probably one of my favorite periods of Dylan, is the Electric period, the Cutting Edge series, or the Cutting Edge album, which came out in, I think, November 2015. I believe so. I could be wrong on that. But anyways, I would love to cover all those bootlegs. And, you know, I'll start from the first one from 91 all the way to whatever it is now. I guess the Dylan and Harrison period in the early 70s. But anyways, that's how I think about Blue and Lonesome. I definitely don't think it's not a great album. And I don't think it's bad either. It's just that album I don't listen to as much, you know. It's kind of like, it's kind of like on, the back burner a little bit. But anyways, folks, bye bye.